Now and welcome in our first guest in the 7 o'clock hour. House Democrats are voting today to drop Representative Marjorie Taylor.
Well, hello and welcome, everybody. How you doing? Gosh, my hair is a bit crazy. I don't know how to. Just not presentable. It's not right. I've just been criticized about that my hair looks like Janet from Three's Company. I remember her having more of a bob cut kind of straight hair situation. I'm a little wavy for that, and I would argue. Oh God, am I loud? Am I that loud? I am. Hold on. That is loud again. Why do you reset yourself, you crazy little thing? Anyways, hi, that's better. Sorry. Woof, man. Better, thank you. Try to do it a little bit better. That I have it looks a little flatter on the stream, like I said, because I have the contrast turned up, so my hair looks darker, and a lot of these parts like that, I'm holding a hair right now. You can't see it because it's just literally that right there. Like that exists. Hold on, I'll hold it in front of my face. There you go, see? But it gets cut out because of yeah. She had a shag haircut, did she? Okay, maybe I'm being too, hard on it overall, but thanks very much. I appreciate it. I'm getting a little sensitive about my hair. Can't quite tell why. I think it has something to do with just time of the month, something like that. We'll figure it out. I don't know. I'm trying to keep a good grip on the number of what are you, a girl? Kind of slams I get on mainly Facebook. Let's be completely honest. Hold on, and then go to Creator Studio. For some reason, it's being really touchy today, so we'll figure that part of it out later. That said, here we are. You guys, we came on. I made a raffle right away, just so you know. There's a thank you so much for Erica for boosting the stream challenge. That's amazing. And thanks to the new follows and welcome. And Heather just super chatted a second ago, and she said, what'd you say? Hold on, let me scroll this down. Hold on, where is it? Hal, can you explain what happens now that Gangrene is off committees? Do you know? Does she get a job like cleaning lady or what? Mailroom? No, she's just going to be in the body. She just doesn't get a prestige slot. For those of you that don't know, this just happened. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who made her apology, her non-apology apology, she didn't actually apologize, her excuse blather through a mask that said free speech. Again, with a microphone in the people's house, and you're, but I'm being denied. I'm so denied. I have no rights in the circumstances. How can they, dare they? How can they possibly dare they? Free speech. She's wearing, like, it's not what I said that's being criticized. It's that I speak at all. So, I mean, baseline. She's will still be on she'll still be able to vote. She'll still represent her district. She just won't be on the education committee and a couple of others. So yeah, she's off that committee. I wanted to go through. I saw a lot of people playing pieces of what she said today. And you know how I like to do the whole, the long form. And it's not that long. It's like she spoke for like 10 minutes. But this, listen, well, I've only heard a couple of clips that were played on the news, and see if you can guess what's missing. We'll listen and see if the clips that we've seen on the news, both pro and con, are indicative of what was actually said.
Madam Speaker, my Democrat colleagues, Republican
Anybody else I didn't feel like, I didn't have enough ammo for?
colleagues, my district back home in Georgia 14, to the American people, to my mom and dad, and my
Yeah. Make sure you tell your mom and dad you didn't really mean to shoot your colleagues.
husband and my children. I've been here for 1 month and a day, and
already you've made quite a splash. You're the big person on campus. You're well known. You're the face of the modern Republican Party, Marge.
I've gotten to know part of my conference, my Republican colleagues, but not even.
Which part? I would like to apologize ahead of time for some of their behavior. We know, especially the Jim Jordans of the world. I mean, he probably didn't see it, so.
All of them yet. I haven't gotten to know any of my Democrat colleagues, and
That's, wonder why.
I haven't had to have any conversations with any of you to tell you.
Haven't had. What, did you notice the first Freudian slip in this ridiculousness? Huh?
I haven't had to have any conversations with any of you to tell you who I am and what I'm about.
You haven't had to have any conversations with you to tell you who I am and what I'm sorry. You are waiting as a leader, because leadership, you're waiting for what the majority leader to go, guys, today is the day we go over and we talk to the baby-eating, spine juice slurping, adrenochrome, fiendish vampires about 2. And then we're going to have a lunch. And then we're going to all pray for their cars to burst into flames. And then we're going to have a snack.
You only know me by how Media Matters, CNN, MSNBC, and
Whoa! You only know me by how Media Matters.
the rest of the
Shots
mainstream
fired.
media is portrayed.
The mainstream media has portrayed it. No, actually, you're going to see a lot of them showing bits of your Facebook page. That's how they know you.
Me. What you don't know about me is that I'm
a down home kind of a gal. I'm a straight up Georgia peach, and if we're known for anything, it's taking anybody who is categorically an opponent and turning them into a blood enemy. That's what we do. I'm kind of a Hatfield and McCoy, old school feuder.
a very proud wife of almost 25 years, that I'm a mother.
So, I suppose, because you're going to notch that. You've been a proud wife for almost 25 years. That you're going to recognize, I don't know, someone like Michelle Obama, let's say, for her commitment to her man and how stable their relationship is.
Of 3 children, and I consider being a mother the greatest blessing of my life and the greatest thing that I'll ever achieve.
You don't get points for that. You get points if you don't think that about your children. If you're like, this is bullshit, like you go, all right, well you clearly go in a new column.
I'm proudly the first person to graduate college in my family, making my
Well, graduate.
parents very happy and proud. I'm also a very successful business owner. We've grown our company.
So I'm sorry, why were you called to this podium to speak? I'd like to say that I was I won several trophies as a football player. I'd like to address the Goldman family's and the Brown family right now and just tell them that not only as a football player have I done very well, but I mean, I make so much money signing autographs. You wouldn't believe it.
From one state to 11 states. I'm a very hard worker. I've always paid
Citation needed.
my taxes. I've never been arrested. I've never done drugs.
Uh-oh, shots fired, Lauren Boebert.
But I've gotten a few speeding tickets in my day. What you need to know
That was supposed to be cute and personal.
about me is I'm a very regular American.
No, you're not. You aren't. I got news for you. As much as people want to divide this up, 81 million voting for Biden, 74 million voting for Trump, the average American does not believe QAnon conspiracy theories. They don't. It's a small slice of humanity. If she was average in her beliefs about this bullshit, there wouldn't be talk about, tourniqueting this QAnon caucus in the Republican Party. It would already be the entire party.
Just like the people I represent in my district and most people across the country. I know.
You don't represent, no. I'm sorry, no, most people across the country. No.
Ever considered to run for Congress or even get involved in politics? As a matter of fact, I wasn't a political person until I found a candidate that I really liked, and his name is Donald J. Trump when he ran.
So far, just being an asshole.
For president. To me, he was someone I could relate to, someone that I enjoyed his.
I often, and my husband and I, we have a business, and I will often grab women by the vagina when they walk in without even asking what their name is. It's cute. It's kind of what we do in North Georgia. I also, I just related to the fact that he palled around with Jeffrey Epstein and wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. I've often sat in my own quiet moments and gone, her boyfriend died in jail. I hope she's doing okay.
Plain talk. Not
plain talk. Talking like a dumb shit is not plain talk. That's insulting to plain spoken people. Plain talk.
The offensive things, but just the way he talked normally. And I thought
not the offensive stuff. Not the stuff I obviously and categorically ignored and gave a pass to.
Finally, maybe this is someone that will do something about the things that deeply bother me, like the fact that we're so deeply in debt that our country has murdered.
He doubled the deficit. What are you talking about? He went on a spending spree. He received over 300 years of presidential salary spent by the government at his own properties. So I hope you're going to end this little fantasy chunk about this fiscal responsibility storyline that you bought into allegedly with him, which I don't believe for a second. But are we going to, I hope you're going to dovetail it with, boy, was I wrong.
Murdered over 62 million people in the womb. The fact that our... What? Like the fact that we're so deeply in debt that our country has murdered over 62 million people in the womb. The fact that our borders are open.
Sorry. Are those two? I understand she talked plain, but are we supposed to align those two things? Gentlemen, we're going to have to redline part of this budget. We are just out of baby killing money. Yeah. Sorry. Fetus killing money. Squad.
And some of my friends have had their children murdered by illegal aliens.
Oh, have they now? Some of your friends have had their children murdered by illegal aliens. Just in a big swath of that. So that's the singular. Has anybody else murdered your friend's kids? Or is it just... why are your friend's kids in MS-13, I think is the next question.
Or perhaps that maybe we can stop sending our sons and daughters to fight in foreign wars and be used as the world's police, basically. Or maybe
Basically, you mean the kind of thing that Democrats have been trying to shut down?
that our government would stand up for our American businesses and our American jobs and make the American people and the American taxpayers their focus.
Just because you don't understand how trade deals work and how they benefit the American public doesn't mean that the people that are working on them are working against the needs and wants of the American people. It also doesn't mean that every unsuccessful trade deal or that has unthought of consequences was an internal attack on the American worker. That's what you believe. You don't believe that NAFTA was a failure. You believe that it was a murder scheme. Good God.
These are the things that I care about deeply.
These are the things I know. These are the things I know.
So when we elected President Trump, and then I started seeing things in the news that didn't make sense to me.
Were the words too big? Did it make sense to you that I know what she was confused by? See, the reason he pops a Tic Tac before he meets a woman, for the first time is because he's expecting to stick his tongue in her mouth. And then while he's doing that, he believes he is allowed to fondle her through her underwear or shove his hand down her pants even before he knows what her last name is. Apparently, in total disregard for her age. Let's say if she's in, the Miss Teen USA pageant. Was that the part that confused you? Tic Tac first?
Like Russian collusion,
Yes. Ask Rod Rosenstein. Which was what?
are conspiracy theories also and have been proven.
No, they haven't.
So these things bothered me deeply. And I realized just watching CNN or Fox News, I may not find the truth. And so what I did is I started looking up things on the internet.
Well, that should do it. Yeah, I started looking up things on the internet. Let me guess. You went straight to Wikipedia. You went to the CDC's website. You went to the articles presented, and you looked at the hot links in them that attached to the documents they were referencing, and you read the documents to see if the news story accurately portrayed what was in the... I'm fucking with you. She just went to a Facebook group that thought that Democrats eat babies.
Asking questions like most people do every day. Use Google. And I stumbled across
Oh, so it's Google's fault you're stupid. I see.
something, and this was at the end of 2017, called QAnon. Well, these posts were mainly
I just fell down a Q hole.
about this Russian collusion information. A lot of it was some of what I would see on the news at night, and I got very interested in it. So I posted about it on Facebook. I read about it. I talked about it. I asked questions about it, and then more information.
And no. You didn't ask questions about it. You made statements from a belief of your own personal authority about it. See, don't start this whole I'm not saying that 9/11 was started by a cabal of Kennedys and Rothschilds and aliens and Jews. I'm just asking the question, was it? I've heard things. Has anybody heard that that 9/11 was caused by the Rothschilds and the Kennedys and Jews and aliens? I'm just asking questions.
Information came from it. But you see, here's the problem. Throughout 2018,
I'm sorry. What was the problem? Throughout 2018, we're going to find out what the problem is. I'm very excited. We're going to find out what the problem is. Get to the point of it. The problem is free speech?
because I was upset about things and didn't.
She was, in case you're wondering, she was snowflaking. Because she was snowflaking, her belief in any kind of straw she could grasp at, that she could, of course, attach to a piece of wood, make a torch, storm a village, kill some people that she thought were witches. Man.
Trust the government, really, because...
Yeah. Who do I trust? The government which I pay taxes to, vote for, sets up, everything from traffic lights to the FAA, which keeps... I notice all the planes don't just fall out of the fucking sky every day. Or do I trust a nameless, faceless conspiracy group on Facebook that tells me that adrenochrome extracted from frightened babies has a powerful anti-aging effect, and all these Democrats who apparently continue to age have been drinking it to get high? How can you tell the difference, really? It's almost like you should just flip a goddamn coin.
The people here weren't doing the things that I thought they should be doing for us.
Really? Oh, you mean the when the Democrats took over and they were like, we're going to put a stop to some of this bullshit?
The things that I just told you I cared about. And I want...
What did you care? I'm sorry, what did you care about? Fiscal responsibility, right? She cared about fiscal responsibility. That's why she supported Donald John Trump, who presided over the largest deficit in American history, a doubling of the deficit from what Obama had, even though Obama spent 8 years bringing us out of a recession. 6 years of uninterrupted job growth. Never cracked $500 billion with the budget deficit. But Donald Trump, with no recession at all, with six years of uninterrupted job growth preceding his entry into the presidency, managed to double the deficit to $1 trillion for the first time in history. Pre-pandemic. This isn't because, oh my God, we got to bail ourselves out of that. Forget that. I mean, that's just blown out of the water. We've spent $6 trillion under Trump, and everybody's going to balk about $2 trillion under Biden because nobody knows where that money went because Larry Kudlow and Steve Mnuchin won't tell anyone where it went. But okay, so not just fiscal responsibility, but dead fetuses. 62 million abortions is what she really cares about. Never mind the fact that, oddly, 3 of those are probably Donald Trump's. God knows what Eric and Don Jr. have left in their wake. And again, it's not the issue that they had them or they were involved in them. It's that they lie about being against them and have them. It's the hypocrisy of it. But apparently, she was upset by the idea that abortion was going on, never cared that 8,000 minor children were dropped unaccompanied on the Mexican side of the border in a cartel town by
Don't you know, a lot of Americans don't trust our government, and that's...
Whoops, sorry, am I getting that mad? I got that mad, I shut my mic off. Woof. It's probably good. I probably swore a lot. I have made myself, I edited myself. I'm fine. You can hear me now? You hear me now? Hear me now? Hear me now? Man. The point I was trying to make before I got cut off, I don't know quite where, I'll have to keep an eye. I think I've bumped my mic and made it shut down. Was that she doesn't care about the 8,000 kids dumped by the Trump administration on the Mexican side of the American border without any adult supervision in a cartel town known for human trafficking. But please, tell us how you give a shit about kids.
Sad. The problem with that is I was allowed to believe things that weren't true, and I would ask...
You were allowed to believe things that were not true. Okay. Everybody, funnel that shit through your head for a second. Really. And now it's hot because I turned it up. Did I? Yeah, it did. Why does it jump up like that? You're being weird. There was an update, I bet. Was it an update microphone? Is that your problem? All right. So hopefully I picked it a little. All right. Man O'Shevitz. Honest to God, people, I was allowed to believe. What? I mean, wrap your head around that concept. Maybe, is that why she mentioned her goddamn parents at the beginning of this? I was allowed. God, what?
Questions about them and talk about them. And that is absolutely what I regret. Because if...
Wait, you regret that you were allowed to believe those things? She regrets what? You regret the government didn't step in and stop your belief? So this is an argument for thought police? Christ almighty, this is idiotic.
If it weren't for the Facebook post and comments that I liked in 2018, I wouldn't be standing here today, and you couldn't point a finger and accuse me of anything wrong.
Oh, so it's not that you did it or you believed it or you thought it or you fomented it. It's that you got caught. That you got caught. This woman wanted to be on the education committee. Can you imagine a kid who brought a gun to school making this statement on to the student body? If I hadn't listened to those rock albums, and if I wasn't allowed to be a fan of heavy metal music, then I wouldn't be standing here today.
Because I've lived a very good life that I'm proud of, my family's proud of, my husband.
Yeah, up till the point you started believing that half your countrymen were baby eaters. I mean, are we going to go into Timothy McVeigh didn't get a dishonorable discharge?
Husband's proud of, my children are proud of, and that's...
Yeah, I'm sure today they're just overjoyed.
What my district elected me for.
Well, here's the thing. Why don't you stand up there and go, I'm ashamed of what I did, and I wasn't clear that I disavowed those things before I got elected. I should have been clearer about those things, and I feel ashamed because my family is being reflected on poorly in this. Is that what she's doing? No, she's going, they're proud of me for hanging out in Facebook groups and claiming and getting a picture taken with a gun and the squad saying I'm their worst enemy.
Later in 2018, when
worst nightmare.
Started finding misinformation, lies, things that were not true in these QAnon posts, I stopped believing it.
Oh yeah? What was the lies part? What You mean when people broke into the Q account on 8chan and anybody could post whatever bullshit they wanted? So Jim Watkins had to wrest it back and move it to 8kun, and then he and his son and whoever they hired to type up rando clue shit to keep you guys on the hook. None of it paid off. That's why. Oh God, this is what she's pissed at. Misinformation. This isn't misinformation. It was a lie. She bought into it because she's a sucker who wanted to believe awful things like this, not just about an individual. We're not talking about I don't know, that Ted Bundy guy. I know he's like a Republican activist in the area, but something's weird about him. It's not seeking out about that individual. Half the country. And in some cases, half of her own party, because she believes they're in league with them. I mean, the establishment argument that Matt Gaetz was making and that she was making, and that arguably Kevin McCarthy is falling back into, is that the establishment part of the Republican Party are baby eaters too.
And I want to tell you, any source, and I say this to everyone, any source of information that is a mix of truth and a mix of lies is dangerous, no matter what it is.
I agree. This speech she's giving on the House floor is dangerous. How do you like that? Because it's a mix of truth and lies. I'm sure she's married. I'm sure she has kids. more than likely has a mother and father. The part about them being proud of her, can't say. I don't know. We'll put that in the unknown unknowns. But the rest of this is hyperbole and bullshit. It's a mix of truth and lies. That's exactly what she's in the process of doing. The fact that she has a mask on and is mic'd right now, supposedly giving an apology, and she chose to wear a free speech mask so that, I guess what? They're going to take this video, she's going to do a different speech entirely, and they'll just dub it in so it'll look like that's what she said?
It is saying what party it is helping, anything or any country it's about. It's dangerous.
Look, can't we all agree? I mean, yes, I murdered Nicole and Ron, but let's just agree that there's murderers of all kinds out there. There's blonde ladies who've murdered. There's waiters who've murdered people. Can we just all agree that murder is bad?
And these are the things that happen on the left and the right.
Oh yeah, do they happen evenly? Do we have a left-wing version of Q? Point to it. I'm certain there are, Marxist revolutionaries and people who believe, 9/11 conspiracies on the left. But none of them have gathered together and in an attempt to overthrow the goddamn government.
And it is a true problem in our country. So I walked away from those things, and
no, you didn't. You're only disavowing them now because they're going to vote to remove you from committees. If they hadn't brought it up, you'd have never brought it up. You didn't walk away from anything.
I decided I'm going to do what I've done all my life. I'm going to work hard and try to solve the problems that I'm upset about. So I started getting...
Excuse me. The problems that you're upset about.
Involved in politics.
Look, I'm here as a representative of my district in Georgia. I represent all the people in my district, even the ones who didn't vote for me. See how easy that is?
You see, school shootings are absolutely real. And
Yeah. Saying that doesn't mean you believe Sandy Hook. You could say school shootings are absolutely real. And then second sentence, I mean, obviously a couple of them were staged, but in general, they happen. I mean, Columbine was real, right? How is anyone supposed to take that sentence seriously? Does she mention Sandy Hook?
Every child that is lost, those families mourn it.
So that still doesn't answer Sandy Hook, because you could say school shootings happen and every child that's killed in one is terrible. I mean, the Sandy Hook thing was bullshit. That was all rubber dolls and squibs, and all those people were crisis actors. But I mean, real school shootings, good God.
I understand how terrible it is, because when I was 16 years old in 11th grade, my school was a gun-free school zone, and
So if you'd had a gun...
my schoolmates brought guns to school and took our entire school hostage. And that happened right down the hall from my classroom. I know the fear.
They took your whole school hostage right down the hall from your classroom. Okay. Pardon me for taking a break. Okay. Marjorie Greene, high school, hostage. Maybe that'll bring it up. Greene references gun incident at her Georgia high school. In her speech, Greene, who has promoted lies about her, August 19th, on Thursday, she said on the House floor ahead of the show, I understand how terrible it is, because when I was 16, and that happened right down the hall. Greene appeared to be referencing a September 1990 standoff at South Forsyth County High School when an armed student held hostages he gathered from 2 classrooms. Greene was enrolled at the school at the time, but wasn't among the hostages, a Forsyth County spokeswoman said, adding that she could not confirm whether Greene attended that day. To our knowledge, she was not in either classroom. She had spoken with, okay, here's, by the way, this is what I'm reading. This is from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This is 1990. From 1990, hostages' fear diminished as teen discussed troubles. As Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Greene defended herself Thursday on the floor, she referred to a 1990 hostage situation at Forsyth County High School to explain her position on gun rights. Appeared to be referencing this standoff where he held hostages he gathered from 2 classrooms. Greene was enrolled at school. They said hostages were trembling with fear when the ordeal began Thursday morning, but they gradually came to the student gunman not as a hair-trigger threat, but as just another kid mad at his parents. Russell David, a 16-year-old sophomore at South Forsyth High School, said he had feared at first because the armed student told police he would blow the hostage's head off if his demand for food, drinks, and a school bus were not met. But Russell said that later he grew more fearful that the police might force a confrontation. I wasn't scared of him. I was scared of what the police would do when he stepped into the hall, and I was afraid of what the police were planning to do as he walked from the room to the bus. Russell said he and the other hostages said they made a plan to overpower their captor after he ate. We decided to wait until he relaxed and laid his gun down. Then he laid it down and we made our move. He showed no resistance when we took the gun away and didn't fight the police. We were all really worn down. We were sick of sitting there, said D.C. Woodall, who grabbed the shotgun. Look at it now. It was probably stupid since we subjected ourselves to being shot, but I thought that if we didn't do anything, one of us could get hurt. I never smoked in my life, but I went through 3 cigarettes. I was so nervous. The youth talked with us and told us everything that was going on in his head, said Randy Abercrombie, one of the hostages. Every time he held the gun to somebody's head, he would take the bullets out. It was nerve-wracking. So he was cocking the gun every time, and he would threaten with this. I wasn't afraid of dying. I didn't think he'd shoot one of us. He trusted us enough to lay his gun down, but I didn't think he'd do something like this. Angie Ross, the only female among the final hostages, said the students were marched into our room with their hands on their heads. We were on the floor by then. Then he came in and yelled, "Everyone put your hands up." We were terrified at first. Angie said he chose to stay in the classroom because he released the other girls because I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to help. So this girl, Angie, tried to talk him down or didn't leave with the other girls because she wanted to talk him out of killing people. Wow. It was a living nightmare that you didn't think you'd ever wake up from, said Russell's mother, who raced to school from Alpharetta when she heard about the incident. I knew he was a hostage, call it mother's intuition or whatever. I'm exhausted, mad, and still scared, Mrs. David said. You hear about these things happening at big city schools, but you never dream it would happen at rural schools. I didn't know if we'd ever see Russell's face again. So we don't know if she was actually there. But she's alleging she is. So we'll take her word for it. But let's say, what would she have done? Run into the room while he had a shotgun at some kid's head and open fire on him, hoping that she knew who was with him and who was against him?
Fear that David Hogg had that day. I know the fear that these kids have. And this is why, and I say this sincerely with all my heart, because I love our kids, every single one of your children, all of our children. I truly believe that children at school should never be left unprotected. I believe they should be just as protected as we were with 30,000 National Guardsmen. Our children are our future. And
so every elementary school should have 30,000 National Guardsmen guarding the school at any given time. Of course, the school to National Guard pipeline is going to be extraordinary.
they're our most precious resource.
Resource? Our most precious resource? What do you think they are? Food? Bum, bum, bum. Why'd she say resource? What's that about?
I also want to tell you 9/11 absolutely happened. I remember that day crying.
Yeah. No one's questioning that it happened, asshole. It's why you think it happened. It absolutely happened. Again, this is the same stuff, but it's plain talk. I'm plain talking. It happened. It absolutely happened. Of course, yeah, it happens every frigging year.
All day long watching it on the news.
Oh, really? You remember it, so it must have happened.
And it's a tragedy for anyone to say it didn't happen. And so that I definitely want to tell you.
Nobody says it didn't. It's not the goddamn Holocaust, dummy. Who says that? Who says 9/11 didn't happen? Where is that corner of the internet? Jesus Christ. Seriously, 9/11, did it happen? Or not? It happened? I know, Amy. This is...
I do not believe that it's fake.
Nobody thinks it's fake. What is that? Honest to God, why is that not getting more play on the news? I'm dead serious. By the way, North Georgia, welcome to the best you can do. That's it. This woman represents the very best of North Georgia. I mean, because if you couldn't find anybody else, and that's who you got, that's your best. But I guess your best wasn't good enough. Good Lord. What do you mean you believe it happened?
I also want to tell you that we've got to do better. You see, big media companies can take...
Wait, we got to do better than what? Than 9/11?
teeny tiny pieces of words that I've said, that you have said.
Teeny tiny pieces of words. Yeah, that's the problem. They're attributing vowels to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Any of us.
Look, I was talking about a bill, and I was like, this is a kick. It would make me feel ill if we couldn't help Nancy Pelosi. So we take the word help out and the ent off of, and then we take the, basically they shape my words into, we should kill Nancy Pelosi. They took this whole sentence. We can do better? No, you can't. Resign. You can't do better, Marge. This is the best you can do. You are fighting for your political life. You knew you had to give this speech. You spoke the night before to a group of Republicans saying basically the same thing. You didn't respect the house you're in enough to write down your remarks and keep them straight. And one of your key points is you think 62 million people were murdered by the American government to keep the deficit, I guess, and it was expensive. It raised the deficit. And that you want points for saying 9/11 occurred.
And can portray us into someone that we're not. And that is wrong.
They're not portraying you as someone you're not. You are what you do.
Cancel culture is a real thing.
Jesus Christ. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. That's what this is? You think that cancel culture is eliminating your right to free speech because calling for the murder of your colleagues and insinuating that everyone on the other side of the aisle eats babies repeatedly and not disavowing it until you were going to lose your seat on the education committee? You think that's cancel culture, dipshit?
It is very real. And when big...
No, it isn't. You're not being canceled. You do not show the character, ethic, capability, and intellectual fortitude it would be required of a human being to serve on committees that deal with the education of the nation's children. I'm not being canceled from being an astronaut because I'm not allowed to barge my way onto a launch site.
Big tech companies like Twitter, you can scroll through and see where someone may have retweeted porn.
Yeah, you mean pictures of consensual sex? You mean stuff that if you turn the settings off, you won't see them? Why are you following people that are retweeting porn? Oh, she's a Republican. I forgot.
This is a problem.
Maybe you should block Trump on Twitter. You should have blocked him a long time ago.
This is a terrible, terrible thing. But
It's a terrible thing. Someone can post visual images of consensual people engaging in intercourse, and I can't show myself pointing a gun at another human being. I mean, where's the tit for rat-a-tat-tat?
yet when I say that I absolutely believe with all my heart that God's creation is He created them male and female, and that should not be denied, when I am censored for saying those type of things, that is wrong.
Why? I'm sorry. Were you watching trans porn at the time? Was it because you were like, oh, this is hot? Whoa, she's got a penis. Is that what you did? Are we seeing porn shock? We're seeing porn shock, aren't we?
You see, here's the real
I thought tit for rat-a-tat-tat was genius, by the way, as spontaneous exclamations of jokes go.
situation. I decided to run for Congress
Because I needed to stop all the tranny porn.
because I wanted to help our country. I want Americans to have our American dream. I want to protect our freedoms. This is what I ran for Congress on. I never once said during my entire campaign, QAnon. I never once said.
You never said it during the campaign? You just stayed in the chat rooms and talked to people about it. You whispered about it. You let your posts speak for themselves.
Any of the things that I am being accused of today during my campaign. I never said any of these things since I have been elected for Congress.
Oh, really? You haven't disavowed them until now. You certainly didn't disavow them on the day that people wearing Q merch stormed the Capitol to murder your colleagues. You don't get points for backing out of this after you got busted.
These were words.
I don't know why I put, when I say send nudes on my Twitter feed, that's not what I thought would happen.
Of the past, and these things do not represent me. They do not represent.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. Unless you disavowed them before you got in trouble, they represent you. And hiding from them or pretending, there are Q people who believe that she's just doing this as code now. Same as Trump. They literally think he tapped out the number 17 by lifting his hands up and doing the Morse code for Q because he couldn't say it, because he can't, because it's just between us.
My district, and they do not represent my values. Here's what I.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Prove it. Saying it doesn't matter. Show me how Q, and this is part of your statement, kids, this is a little lesson. We know we're big fans of the non-apology apology around here. The whole I want to apologize if anyone was upset by what I said. That's not apologizing for what you said. That's saying, I would like to apologize for not knowing there were any complete wusses in the room before I started talking my big boy words. That's what that is. It's a lie. This is the same stuff. Unless you can tell me why they don't represent your values and start listing the reasons and specifics, this is just horseshit.
I can tell you, I am beyond grateful for this opportunity, and I'll tell you why.
Why? Because by coming here and making this speech, I can be put on a committee, and then I can, use all the things I learned on those Q message boards to attack the Democrats from inside the building, but never use the special words we only use at camp.
I believe in God with all my heart, and I'm so grateful to be humbled, to be reminded that I'm a sinner and that Jesus died on the cross to forgive me for my sins.
No, he didn't. He died on the cross so you could be forgiven. He died for all the sins committed by mankind up until that point. We're not going to haggle about this. But, you can't believe that and then spend the last year believing that, your colleagues across the aisle are baby eaters and then hang out with them as if nothing happened. I dropped all that shit in the name of Jesus.
This is something that I absolutely rejoice in today.
No, you are using Christ as a shield against the circumstances you find yourself in. This is not true belief. This is not asking forgiveness. You spent the entire time bragging, being prideful. None of this,
Tell you all. And I think it's important for all of us to remember none of us are perfect.
This isn't about perfection. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look, anytime somebody in an argument with you, when they know they've done wrong, does the Dumb and Dumber, well, I guess some of us make mistakes, Mr. Perfect. Anytime somebody pulls back and goes, look, I know I'm not perfect. Like, all right, you're not even willing to apologize for the traits you have. What you're doing is establishing what you did wrong and how you acted as part of your personality that I've got to take it all now. It's the diamond in the rough theory that suddenly yes, it's all about imperfection. No, you apologize for what you did and what you're doing. You don't go, well, nobody's perfect about yourself. You can say nobody's perfect when you're forgiving someone else because you are making the choice on their behalf to forgive their behavior. And you can justify it by going, we all have failings. You can't use it in your apology. It's a dick move. She is bearing false witness.
None of us are. And none of us can even come close.
Speak for yourself.
To earning our way into heaven just by our acts and our works. But it's
what? Yes, what? This is the whole, you've got to accept Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior and, pass the entrance exam. Otherwise, you can't just be a good person and get into heaven. That's not how it works. You have to show fealty to the one and only Lord Jesus. And if you don't use that actual name, let's say you speak Chinese and you use a different word for him, it's not going to work. You have to say Jesus in English, just like the Lord spoke.
We're earning our way into heaven just by our acts and our works. But it's only through the grace of God. And this is why I will tell you, as a member of this Congress, the 117th Congress, I am a passionate person. I'm a competitor.
No, you're not. You're a bully. You're a gullible bully. You think that makes you passionate. It doesn't.
I'm a fighter. I will work with you.
No, you're not. You're a coward and you want to murder unarmed people with a gun, and you were showing off the fact that you could do it and, in theory, get away with it.
You for good things for the people of this country, but the things I will not.
Which people are we talking about?
Stand for is abortion. I think it's the worst thing this country has ever committed. And if we were to say,
go forth and kill all man, woman, and suckling infant. It's kind of an Old Testament thing. America didn't invent abortion. And if you're worried about how long, then I'm all interested in you talking about we need contraception in this country so that people can only have children when they feel ready to provide for that child. And we need to provide that to teenagers as soon as they're able to procreate so that they have that as an option for them and their families to cut down on the number of abortions that occur or the number of people having to take, RU-486 or something, or the morning after pill as a response. I mean, if my parents went you're 16 now, I know you don't want to have a kid, and I know you're going to be fooling around. I can tell by your eyes, Hal. So we're going to go down, and you can get your temporary vasectomy. It's a short, outpatient procedure. And when you decide you want to start having kids, you just go to the doctor and get it undone. And the state pays for it so that we can cut down on the number of abortions. How about that? I mean, honest to God, can you think of a single thing that would cut down on the number of abortions in this country better than reversible vasectomies? Poink.
Say in God we trust. How do we murder God's creation in the womb?
Well, you're for the death penalty. And if you trust in God, then you have to also trust in the choices of your fellow man. And you have to make the moral argument for your case, not the judicial argument for your case. Because judge not lest ye be judged. God, in Christianity, God is vengeance. You don't enact vengeance or revenge on someone. You leave it up to God to, believe me, they'll get theirs. If you believe people burn in hell for eternity for having an abortion, and that's part of God's plan, and they have the choice, you allow everyone. I mean, that's the root of freedom in that regard. Jesus.
Another thing I will say to this body,
No pun intended,
is I want to work with all of you for our people. It should be.
That's right. I can't wait to work with some of you baby spine juice sucking demonic freaks. Come here, baby killer. Give me hug Marge. Give Marge a hug.
America first always. Always. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there is. There is something that, it's not all bad, the idea that you would want to put the interests of the American people first, considering you are representatives of the American people, and that's what the body is created for. We do have a government where we are to take care of the people that we can take care of. America first, in theory, should be kind of, at its root, you put your mask on before you put the child's on, right? Because if you put theirs on and you die, they may perish in the plane wreck because they didn't have you to get them out of there. See how that works? If you use up all your resources giving it all away, you're not actually useful later on. You weaken yourself where everybody it's like a shrinking of capability. So of course America needs to vaccinate itself first in many ways and as quickly as possible, so that as we're producing all this leftover vaccine and the continuing production of vaccine we don't need because we already did it, we can start sending it out to the rest of the world at a clip that other countries can't. That kind of thing. Taking care of the needs of Americans is the primary goal of the American government. That's its job primarily. So saying it, though, the America First phrase, and borrowing it from Nazi sympathizers in the 30s is the problem. That would be, when you say there's nothing wrong with it, that would be the something.
And if this Congress is to tolerate members that condone riots that have hurt American people, attack police.
No one has done that. I mean, besides you and your friends.
Officers occupied federal property, burned businesses and cities, but yet wants to condemn me and crucify me in the public square.
Crucify me in the public square. Crucify him on the tree of woe. I mean, the abject martyrdom of this. And by the way, I don't understand the negative aspect of using the crucifixion as a turn of phrase when you are allegedly a born-again Christian who believes in it. Because standing up for your beliefs in those situations, if you believe them deeply, and you were like, I believe this to be a crucifixion of ideas, and I am willing to let myself be crucified to make this point. Alexei Navalny kind of comes to mind in those regards. Genuine martyrs. You understand? That's not what she's saying. Look, if you're going to crucify me, and I'm not even saying this anymore. Anyways, I don't even believe this stuff. Are you going to nail me up here for shit I don't even believe? Look, I didn't even say that. I'm up here. Why are you nailing me up here? That's what this is friggin' ridiculous. We said martyr at the same time, Audio Girl John? I don't doubt it. Simpatico.
The words that I said, and I regret a few
No, you regret getting caught.
years ago, then I think we are in a real big problem of...
Oh, it's our problem. Guys, listen to that. It's our fault. If you want to hold her to words that she didn't distance herself from, that she hesitated to, that she had to be taken into a private meeting with the GOP and basically yelled at and said, you got to make this speech. I mean, that's what the had to line was in the beginning of this. We're supposed to believe that, listen to this sentence
Public
again.
square for words that I said and I regret a few years ago, then I think we are in a real big problem, a very big problem.
Yeah. So it's the Democrats' fault and it's the rest of the world's fault and arguably other Republicans' fault who go, you said this shit 4 years, not a couple of years ago, ongoing. You didn't mention it in your campaign because you and all the Qs know that that's not the way to get in. You're supposed to subvert and get inside, which is exactly what she did. She ran on guns and guts and God, and that's and basically in a really red district, ran as far to the right as she possibly could, and trounced her other Republicans because they wouldn't go as far because they're not QAnons. She would say anything. Yeah, she said the same crap. She got a standing ovation. She apparently either added something or left something out, but I can't know because of the inside. But so McCarthy yells at her, you got to make a statement in front of the caucus. You got to tell them what you're going to say on the floor. Then you're going to have to say something on the floor because they're going to vote you out. And a bunch of these Republicans are going to need to hear from you. You don't believe that crap anymore, whether it's true or not. And here's my issue, and this is me as a human going out on a limb. I don't believe her. You hear me? I don't believe her. On a personal level, my bullshit meter is peaking. Now, she might be completely honest. This might be the best she can drum up. Maybe intellectually, her vocabulary might not be that great. She might have been, believed that headbutting was an excellent form of greeting for most of her adult life, and it's come back to haunt her. There's a lot of reasons why she might be saying this legitimately. But I don't think so. I think she's dumb, but I don't think she's stupid. You know what I'm saying?
What shall we do as Americans? Shall we stay divided like this? Will we allow the media that is just as guilty as...
The media? Woman, you posted pictures of yourself pointing a rifle at Democrats that you meant to go work with. Send me to D.C. and I'll show them what's up. What? And it's our fault? It's the media. It's, the media keeps showing what I did.
Is QAnon of presenting truth and lies to divide us? Will we allow ourselves...
Wait a minute. Hold on. What was that? Excuse me. There was a Q code. I don't know if you saw it, but the hand that ran by was holding 4 fingers. As she said, QAnon. What was that about? What's happening?
Media that is just as guilty as QAnon of presenting truth and lies to divide us.
Why did she notice that? That hand goes by right when she says just as guilty as QAnon. Whoops. Hold on. That's Q. This dude right here. Just so you know. This dude. This guy. This is Q. That's him. Did he post everything that was on the Q account? No, because it was easily hacked. A bunch of people put stuff on. They messed with it. It became a gag. You can still do it. Q's password was Matlock. That's Q. That's who she's talking about.
Will we allow ourselves to be addicted to hate and hating one another? I hope not.
Addicted to hate? I wasn't the one that was doom scrolling Q posts about baby eating people. I just thought Trump was a dick because he's a serial sexual assaulter. I used his actual words, not some weird, bizarre theory that there was a basement in a pizza shop that there wasn't, that led a dude to stand out in front of the place and open fire with
Because that's not the future I want.
Yes, that guy. Guys, that dude I just showed you, this guy. That guy. That's Q. That is who has now control of the Q account and has had it for at least a year. The initial posts were made by somebody else they think is kind of a gag. Then people started, somebody got a hold of it. They think it was him. And then they held on to it. And then once people could break into it, he moved it to 8chan. Then he owns 8kun and 8chan, so he bounced them over there. This is him. His son Ron says that his dad posted it and then he disavowed his own Parler post. It's BS. Like, this is him. That's Q. That's the guy who does it. Now, does he write all of them himself? No, he lives in Manila, and he probably pays someone to do them like puzzle pieces. He like farms it out.
For my children, and it's not the future I want for any of your children. I yield back my time. Thank you.
That was it. That was her end. That was her end of it. That CNN and MSNBC are the same as QAnon. Gee, I can't imagine why she had all of her committees stripped. Which she did. Christ. I honestly thought there would be more in it that was, less of a, I don't know. I don't know why I thought it would be a little more balanced. And that was a complete abdication of responsibility. It was insanity, and it was 80% blame. She was allowed to believe these things. She was allowed to start saying these things. And then she's disavowing things on the spot that she said for years, and she didn't disavow them until she was going to lose her committee seats, and we're supposed to buy it. Why? Do you think they would react to any Democrat that way? And by the way, imagine a Democrat, any of the ones they've accused of also fomenting violence by saying, Maxine Waters saying, get up in their faces. Maxine Waters would go, would more than likely say, I apologize if anyone took my words to mean physical violence. This is what I meant. And it was a mistake to use those words. And I apologize both to my colleagues for how it made them feel, for what I did myself. I apologize for saying them anyways and not having a better grasp on my words. Like, that's how you actually do it. This is just like buffoonery. Jesus. I have to say, I'm shocked at how bad it was. I mean, I know she's a Q, which means she's not bright or intentionally dim. I would argue, that you've got some kind of a blind spot if you're a Q believer, but you shut things off on purpose. You put your focus wherever, where you want it to be. So you're responsible for where your attention brings you. Imagine we find out one of the men in Congress has been part of an incel group that applauded like the Santa Barbara shooter, the guy who shot at women because they wouldn't go out with him, or the guy in Toronto who ran over people with a truck because he was an involuntary celibate. And this guy wrote posts and said, yeah, women have it coming and you got to treat them that way. And yeah, the MGTOW group or whatever. And he had posted on all those things. And let's imagine It'll never happen. But let's imagine it's a Democrat. And imagine the Democrats have brought that person into committee and said, into a room of other Democrats, said, you're going to lose all your committee seats tomorrow. Just count on it. We're going to vote against you. There's no way you get to be on the missing and exploited children or the women's rights committees or the like. You're not, it's not going to happen. But you're going to make an apology on the floor. Do you think it sounds anything like this garbage? And I know it's a hypothetical. But just go down the furthest road you can imagine. And is it this bad? Even like you know me, I have a real problem with people who can't do selfish right. That's why I'm more stunned a lot of times when politicians aren't better liars. You can't figure out a way to phrase what you're saying that doesn't dig the hole deeper, dumbass. That part amazes me. We talk. Well, let's. I want to show you one other thing before we get into this dude. But where is it? Is it this one? No, it's not that. Yeah, so it's this one. Yeah. Oh no, this is it. This is OAN getting mad at Newsmax for cutting off Mike Pillow, right? Check this out.
From Twitter to television, cancel culture has gone viral, and Newsmax is the latest
Cancel culture has gone viral. That's good copy. I'm just going to say that's good copy.
place where
My. That's good copy.
they have censored conservative voices.
Have they? Conservative voices. Conservative. They're censoring. That's what they're doing? They're censoring conservative voices. People are like, hey, I know we want to improve the nature of our economy and other things, but we ought to tap the brakes. I'm a little on the conservative side of this. I don't think we should rush headlong into this unless we check the numbers, kick the tires. You know what I mean? I'm a little concerned. Like, I believe in conserving things that are rare or are not renewable, things that are, once we use them up, they're gone, like oil. And our public parks, for example. I believe in conserving what little public land we have and not just loaning it out to be polluted and that kind of stuff. As a conservative, that's my voice. Are they really censoring conservative voices, or are they censoring people who are quoting the Kremlin in distributing anti-democratic bullshit stories about how the election was stolen? Or promoting violence? Because I'm going to guess there's a lot of conservatives that are still on Twitter that manage to say a whole lot of shit, and they're not kicked off because they don't go there. They stay well within their expressing their idea part and stay out of and that's why we've got to have a Second Amendment solution to this. Right? See how I'm saying? Conservatives.
America's White House correspondent, Jen Pellegrino, has more.
I like her. She's bubbly. And
it has become a disturbingly familiar series of events in recent weeks. Big tech oligarchs halting the flow of information to
big tech oligarchs. I live for the right yelling about oligarchy now.
Benefit their agendas. First, it was the President of the United States and his campaign, and then a bigger question emerged. Just how
does Anderson Cooper drink baby spine juice? Is that the question?
Far could this spread? Inventor and entrepreneur Mike Lindell is one of the
inventor. Walls, wheels, pillows. You don't get
latest targets, having both his personal and his MyPillow business accounts banned from Twitter.
Why? Why did the MyPillow account get banned? Oh, because he went around his account suspension and tried to post his personal shit on the business one, and they took the business one down. See how that works? If he hadn't done that, it'd still be up. They'd still be selling MyPillows, wouldn't they? Nobody'd give a shit.
Segment to discuss social media censorship. Watch as Newsmax censors Mike Lindell, upsetting the anchor to the point where he...
Oh, They censor Mike Lindell. Did they censor him? Because it looks like the dude's self-censored.
Storms offset.
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and Newsmax accepts.
We watched this when it originally went, and his tongue still freaks me out.
The results as legal. Can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this. We at Newsmax have not been able to verify.
Actually, we can't because he pays for the network.
Any of those allegations that you're
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second.
Goodbye.
In case you missed it, this wasn't the first time Lindell was muzzled while appearing on Newsmax.
Well, I'm sorry, was he muzzled? It seems like it wasn't the first time he was talking about something other than what they had brought him on for the segment of, and it was venturing into an area where he could get them added to that $2.8 billion lawsuit that just got slammed on Fox. We'll look at that in a second, because that's why. The censorship part of it, and that's not, hold on, let's see, Fox, Smartmatic, that should do it. Smartmatic lawsuit. Yeah, let's just pull this sucker up. Ba-boing! Get back. What are you doing? Oh, it popped up on their own thing. Here we go. Yeah, this wasn't about censorship. This is just what we like to call good business. Voting technology company Smartmatic files $2.7 billion lawsuit against Fox News, Rudy Giuliani, and Sidney Powell over disinfo campaign, including, it's beautiful, Maria Bartiromo and Lou Dobbs. Man, these dipshits got dragged into this. Filed a month. Let's see if they bring it up. Does it go straight to their page? That CNN thing. Is everybody just bouncing around? Okay, so this is the Word document for it. It is 288 pages, and the argument starts with, once you get past the table of contents, the earth is round. Love you too. They literally start their whole, look, can we start where the earth is round. $2.7 billion lawsuit, and no spelling errors, interestingly enough. I heard the reporter that walked off apologized. No, they brought him back on with another reporter who you can't tell them apart, but that's it. So, yeah. $2.7 billion lawsuit against Fox, naming specifically, by the way, this is, and in case you guys wanted to know where to go, they redact it on the CNN website. You can get the whole document at Smartmatic's website. I looked at it already. That's their addresses. And Rudy has 3 addresses. Maria has 2. It's her home address and at Fox. Same with Lou Dobbs. This is his home address and then at Fox. Janine Pirro as well. Oh, man, they were making, that's when you get served with that one. How's that feel? Start like, oh, I got an envelope. Hold on, let me bring this up. What is that? Oh, let's see. What does that say? Let's see. What's in the yeah. Just making some pants soup with that nonsense. But I mean, there's a beauty to this. There really, really is. $2.7 billion. This is, by the way, this is not the same as the Dominion machine voting lawsuit. And Dominion was nicer about it. Dominion filed a lawsuit, and they gave these people time to retract, which is why Newsmax didn't want to have him on because they did their retraction. They did. I mean, it was crap, but they were, Chet's pants. You don't really know what I mean by pants soup. Filling your diaper with soup. Yeah.
The biggest fraud is the Dominion machines, and at 11:15 on election night, our great president, because of everything
Mike, I don't want to discuss, Mike, we're not going to get into the minutiae of the details.
Lindell.
Yeah, we're not going to get into the fact that we've already retracted because I don't know anything.
Who has invested his own resources.
By the way, Mannequin 3 is going to be off the hook.
Into uncovering election irregularities, recounts the most recent interview with the network.
A little bit of mistake. They had sent a memo to my assistant not to say anything about Dominion and the machines and the election fraud.
Newsmax touts itself as real news for real people, but is this yet another case of a so-called fair and unbiased network being swept up by leftist censorship?
No, they have already dealt with the legal ramifications of it. They've had to issue a retraction, or lest they get hit with a lawsuit they could not defend and could not afford. And this asshole was walking them into a rake, and they were trying to stop him from doing it because, unlike, let's say, platforms that are protected by Section 230, news organizations are responsible for vetting what they put on the air, especially guests they have on multiple times. And I apologize ahead of time that, we're back at Rudy's glory hole.
Rudy Giuliani with Rudy's Common Sense. Today's...
Because if you'll notice, Rudy's Common Sense differs from the normal version of common sense that people commonly use in that it is nonsensical.
Episode, we'll discuss immigration. It's a subject we haven't talked about in quite some time, but a subject that... I think Rudy's going to finally bring up the Russian anchor babies at Trump Tower, Miami. Let's do this. Is a perennial, isn't it, of American policy? A subject...
Yeah, it flowers every year.
...that we haven't really solved as a nation, if you ever solve it.
Yeah, you could solve immigration, sure.
Or at least approached well as a nation.
We haven't approached it well as a nation. We have a functioning structure. We have courts. We have even your buddy put up 25 miles of wall. We deport people, that kind of stuff. Oh, I guess this is what it is. I can't have. I think it's the Discord that is messing with me. I'm using up all the memory on my computer, apparently, while I'm doing the show now. I've like. When is it? Yeah. Oh, it's all the yeah, there we go. I think we should be all right. I hope.
And one that is one of the major issues facing us in so many different ways. There's an opportunity to do something about it now, and let's talk about it and let's see what the opportunity is and how it can be done. I don't want to offer great hope, but I don't want to also say,
Rudy, you will never offer great hope. None of us are concerned about that at all. Honest to God. No, like literally no one is concerned that Rudy is going to bring up great hope. Oh my God, here comes Rudy with all the hope again. Said no one ever.
On arrival, because there are ways of doing this. And
So here we're going to hear, I do not defrag. I have to defrag. It's a good point.
A Joe Biden of like 20 years ago probably would have been a good bet to get this done. Because I'm thinking of, it's a little further back, but...
You mean like do a kind of immigration version of the crime bill? That's what you're thinking, Rudy? Where we stop and frisk? No, that's your job.
I'm thinking of the crime bill that he helped to negotiate. It took about 7 years.
I was kidding. Holy shit. Yes, I do need more stars to buy more money and more memory. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, please give and support us, patrons, as I burn this computer to the ground. I have a feeling I may have fried the logic board in this, and that's what's really happening. But yeah, we'll see.
For him and Schumer, a group of other people, including me, to get that done under Clinton.
Including you? What are you talking about?
This is a similar, although I will say a more difficult subject. So let's start talking.
Let's go and talk about it. Yay! Yeah, you don't defrag it. It is, and it is an SSD drive in this one.
About immigration, and let's put it in context because I expect we're going to be spending a lot of the next year with a lot of battles about this. And
yeah. So we're just going to pretend now that the election's over that the hard drive doesn't exist. We're just going to move on. Is that what we're doing? And ladies and gentlemen, this, I see if he was part of the crime bill. I just meant him getting through the immigration thing, if they had gotten that old team back together. If you needed more proof that Rudy was lying about the crime bill, lying about the Hunter Biden laptop and the hard drive and all that was on it, if you need any more information that he was absolutely fabricating the whole thing, that he had purchased, that if you doubted what I told you about him buying that hard drive or the contents of it in Ukraine for $5 million when they were offering it for $3 million, and bringing it back and forging this whole thing with some buddies and trying to concoct this thing on behalf of Trump to take down Biden, if you had any doubt about that, this is him proving it. Proving that I was right. Because if it was true at all, would you move on from it? You find out that someone in a position of power, and you have the means and wherewithal, you're not you sitting in your living room, you've got millions of dollars, well, until you're sued into oblivion, but you have this. You even think that in this lawsuit, some of the people that you have this information on, the Bidens are dealing in billions of dollars with the Chinese and all this stuff. They could give me the money to pay off my lawsuit if I use this even as blackmail. But it's just gone. It's just gone. You notice that? Does that bother anybody besides me? Does it bother anybody that Rudy has just dropped what is effectively, what he was saying was 30 years of criminal conduct? The worst crime family this side of the Gaudis meet, Jesus, I don't know, the triad. And nothing. What hard drive?
That may turn out to be fruitful or not. There's no question.
Oh, look at that. You know, I was on Stuttering John's podcast with the body language dude, and he was saying that, you know, people do this they're taught as speakers to do this to give the illusion of power. It's a power position with your hands, which I don't get. It doesn't seem powerful to me. I mean, it seems like I've seen people do it when they're talking, but it seems like a lazy way to rest your hands. Because I personally believe that power hand gestures are based on your actual emotions, not on, well, gentlemen, I do believe that, it totally, broop, broop. Look at this, it's gross. Like, perhaps if you let me sleep with your sister, we could let this month's rent go, eh? That's what it looks like.
An announced core of the Biden program is immigration reform. Now, everybody's in favor of immigration reform.
Are they? Everybody. Well, that's good to know. Everybody. Well, then we should be able to reach a bipartisan consensus on a bill, get something right through committee, and get it signed. Oh, you mean the fact that the bill presented by the Democrats that a bunch of Republicans signed onto and that's been around for a long time in varying iterations, but that Mitch McConnell wouldn't bring to the floor, would pass by a large majority if the Republicans didn't whip against it. But what you're afraid of now is that in an attempt to actually get something done and not to appear to be the racist QAnon party, that they might sign on to normal bipartisan legislation about a major issue. And then how do you make money when it's not a giant game of ping pong?
The question now becomes, how do you define immigration reform? So
sure. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Cosmic Rose, for getting an In Prison 45 mug. Right on.
Biden himself, as far as I can tell, has not given like a major speech on immigration in which he's laid out.
He hasn't? Rudy, is this your major speech on immigration? And by the way, I'm going to pick a winner right now of all the people who won the raffle. We're in on the raffle. The timer is clicking down. So let's give it a try. Here it goes. And actually, Aaron W. is the winner. There you go. It should pop up in a second and play some music. Give me 1 second. Yay! Actually, Aaron W. on Twitch. There it is. Congratulations for winning the t-shirt. Hey, Justin, how are you?
These are my 5 points, or these are my 10 points.
You don't think he did, or you don't know he did? You don't think that when he presented this that he didn't deal with them? You don't think it's actually in the actual executive order, the legislation itself that they're presenting? You do know they presented a bill.
The way some other presidents and legislative leaders have done in the past.
Uh-oh, he's got a Sharpie. He's going to draw another country on.
But his party has made many, many pronouncements about what they want, particularly from what we would call the left wing of his party. He's embraced some of those. He hasn't embraced all of them.
What? He's embraced some of those?
I don't think. But
geez, you mean Democrats actually behave like they're in a democracy? They go, yeah, I can sign on to those things, but those things are a non-starter or won't go anywhere, or I actually think the blowback on them they'll actually not help. I mean, I think it might be what you think is a good, it sounds like a good plan, but it'll actually hurt people if you really think about it, and you might have not thought about that. So I can't sign on to that, but I can sign on to that. Gee, it sounds like there's bipartisanship within the Democratic Party.
He's embraced a lot of them. He even has incorporated some of them in his executive orders. And whether those are legal or not, or constitutional or not, is going to have to be tested. But in any event, it does.
Oh, wait. Sorry, Rudy. What? You're saying that what he put in his executive order? Wait for it. We should. We're going to need to see. He does he's holding his glasses, but you think Trump thinks he's holding glasses? This is the same hand gesture that we were talking about where Trump always does this, like he's holding a pair of glasses we can't see. Q. Thanks, Joy. He thinks we're gonna have to work this out, right? We're gonna have to discuss this, right? That's what he's arguing, that we're gonna have to see if the things that he's put in this executive order can or can't be done. We're going to have to look into this. Oh, wait. What's the title of this video again, Rudy? What is it? This cannot be... Hold on, I have to slide it over here. This cannot be lawfully done by executive order, immigration reform. I might be hitting my, dumbass quota today. Between him and Marge Greene.
It does show at least some of his thinking. Whether that's his hard and fast position or his negotiating position is another matter, and probably is going to be the answer to whether or not we ever get this done. So let's take
what? Okay. Almost nothing was just said.
A look at what is involved in it. First of all, he's in a perfect situation. He's got control of both houses of Congress. So normally he should get what he wants. However, so did his predecessors have that, right? Donald Trump had that first 2 years. Bush had that. Obama had that. And the only person who actually got immigration reform done was Ronald Reagan with a split Congress. So,
yeah, and what did he do? What did he get done there? What was the word that most people used to describe what Ronald Reagan did towards immigration? Rudy? I'm sure it's a word that all Republicans love.
I don't know if it's good luck or bad luck to have control.
Rudy's statement today on the Lincoln Project. Did he actually do it? Does anybody see it? I have not seen it. So hold on one second. Was there one? Let's see. I've got to check, see if it showed up anywhere. Let's see. Rudy, I don't know that he's made one. I mean, does it matter now? There you go. Rudy Giuliani Lincoln Project. Hey! Sorry, the Lincoln Project's legal response to false and defamatory statements. Nope, that's not. No. Yeah, no, they had, oh, thanks, Melanie. No, all I can find is Lincoln Projects. He hasn't answered it. Yeah, the deadline was yesterday and we didn't see anything. Yeah, can't stop lying. I didn't see it either. I looked this morning. I figured he might do it in the afternoon, and if they posted it, sometimes, you got the safety third pillow. It's very useful. Safety third. My motto is safety third, by the way. It's one of my many. Look at Steve Bannon's show. Really? Was he on there? Did he say it on there? Did he come on there to do it? Because I'm calling hooey. So I don't, let's see, hold on. See, all I find is this. This is the Lincoln Project's thing, and they served notice to him. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, somebody just posted it. Hey, Rudy, still waiting for your retraction apology to Project Lincoln. Today's your deadline. I'm convinced that you received a pocket pardon from Trump. Care to confirm or deny? Well, the pocket pardon wouldn't protect you from civil suits. Wouldn't matter. That's the amazing part. See, you can't pardon somebody from a civil suit.
Despite that, however, this isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of, will you negotiate? Number one, maybe yes, maybe no. And if you do negotiate, how good are you going to be at it? So let's look at...
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so this is a terrific conversation.
The history of this. All
right, let's look at the history of this. Okay, Mexicans. Some of them...
Real reform, I think most people remember, worth reviewing, is the Simpson-Mazzoli bill that passed in late 1986. It's called officially the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986, or IRCA. I worked on that a good deal. I know it really well. I was Associate Attorney General and U.S. Attorney when that was passed. But like most bills, it started getting written in the early 80s. By the time it passed and went through the Simpson-Mazzoli hearings, it took quite some time.
It's a giant issue. Yeah, we get it.
This is what the bill did, and it's part of the problem and part of the solution, I guess. It gave amnesty to illegal immigrants who fit a certain category. Obviously, not committing a crime, not having a bad record. I'm not sure if they had to work or were willing to work. Don't remember
Probably
all the
not.
categories, but there were a substantial number of categories. A couple of million or more became legalized under that program. Don't think all 6 million. There were a certain number, I remember, reluctant to even go under the program because they didn't trust the government. They thought, this was like a ruse to catch them, and then they'd be thrown out, even though...
Why would they believe that with Reagan in charge?
Very few people get thrown out, or very few people used to get thrown out.
What? People used to get deported all the time, Rudy.
The amnesty gave them a path to citizenship. That was fairly rigorous, but not impossible. And, of course, that's what the Democrats wanted. A lot of other things to help immigrants as well. But the key thing was They called it regularizing the situation for people who came here illegally but acted legally while they were here. People who came avoiding the law saying you have to come in and identify yourself. But other than that, their reasons were...
Yeah, we know.
The same reasons that people come in legally. They just skip the line. And the argument was, why leave them in a state where...
Oh, a big portion of them came in as migrant workers, worked in Texas and Arizona and other states, or moved their way up into the United States. Later, they moved into construction and those kind of things in the late 90s. But a lot of them were farm workers. And the farmers would pay them to work because they were cheap, pay them under the table. And a lot of them just stayed nearby because they could work cyclically in certain areas that weren't, like they didn't have seasons the way Chicago and New York do. They have like Texas seasons, hot and hot-ish. And so they could rotate through it and do different farm work during the year. So they basically became citizen migrant underground workers that were feeding the country.
They're outcasts in society. We're not going to be able to deport 6 million, 7 million, 8 million people. Let's find a more sensible solution. And
they're not outcasts. They're literally undocumented Americans. They were Americans with no paperwork. They were working under the table. A lot of times they were paying taxes, doing all kinds of things because they had to look like they were legitimately here, but they didn't get any of the benefits.
And the Republicans bought that, but they bought it with a promise by the Democrats that this will never happen again. We will...
Yeah, that's what it was. But I don't know. Every time we turn around, the Republicans are getting suckered by the Democrats, and they always buy it. How did they become, like, the Democrats are now loosey with the football?
Substantially increased border enforcement. They came up with a lot of plans, and therefore we will not have a repeat of this because the Republican objection was, if you give them this amnesty thing, my goodness, the whole world...
Then the next batch of people are going to come up here going, eventually they'll give us amnesty too.
Come here. And as opposed to people...
Grace Gracie says Democrats never made that promise. He's making this up. This was a criticism of Reagan himself during that time, not Democrats.
Lining up, coming in the way that normally people came through the system where you have to sign up and wait your turn and then get online for
fly in from Europe, overstay your visa, right?
Citizenship, and therefore over a period of time prove your adherence to the law and your real desire to be an American because you love America. Well, the simple fact is most people would conclude that the bill didn't work, either on both sides. On the left, the let everybody come.
Hold on. What are you talking about? A good portion of those people, by the way, the immigrants that they're talking about that ended up, coming into the country because they got their citizenship or their pathway to citizenship under Reagan, became part of the conservative Latino base and Hispanic base in the American electorate. At least the first generation of them. That they rewarded Republicans by voting their way. And a lot of them are religious conservatives anyways because of Catholic upbringing from where they came.
Come inside, let's call it that. They felt that it affected too few people. Too few people took advantage of it. It didn't have any kind of broad acceptance, although a lot of people did benefit by it. It's a question of, I guess, your perspective. And then on the...
Yeah, you think?
The right, the feeling was that there was no real increase in enforcement that meant anything. Illegal immigration just continued, and by the time we get 10, 12 years later, the original estimate of 5-6 million goes up to 12 million. And now it could be 20, it could be 12. I'm not an expert on exactly the number. I knew it.
Yeah, it's not like you could look it up right before you do your show. And of course, it'd be a little difficult because the guy you supported for president made it so that the census couldn't count undocumented people in the country. So
much better when I was U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York while this was going on. So
will Greene ever be arrested? No.
I lived during
Well, unless she does something else.
the period of
Somebody
time
was
this
asking
bill
in
was
chat.
passed and the aftermath of it. There's no question it increased illegal immigration because of that amnesty provision, even though it was
Population increased immigration. There are way more people in the world now than there was in 1986.
described as a one-time amnesty. In 1990, they a little slightly different part of the immigration law. Under Bush, Congress passed the Immigration and Nationality Act, and it modified the Nationality Act of 1965, and it did a couple of things. Don't know if you can just make a simple evaluation. It worked or didn't work. It changed things.
It sounds complicated, and Rudy doesn't do well with complication. I can't tell if it's good or bad, but it was probably Democrats, may have made it. Whatever was bad about it was what Democrats tricked Republicans into doing. Anything that was good about it was all Republicans, but they probably got suckered by the bad stuff. Jesus Christ.
It limited visas to 700,000. That included aliens, aliens with.
What? Hold on. We're supposed to believe for a second that this is. Hold on. Did it work? No, it doesn't work. I have to close this. Why is that not working right now? Oh, I see. That's why. Yep, everything's freaking out. My computer's being weird. Add that to this month's checklist.
Extraordinary skilled workers, religious workers, investors, as well as family members, and it emphasized diversity. In
Ew, not diversity.
some ways, it made immigration easier. Whatever it did, it increased the foreign-born population dramatically, because in that decade between 90 and 2000, the foreign-born population of the United States went from 7.9% to 11.1%. That's a very large growth.
Oh my God.
But these are people
foreign-born.
who came in legally. Foreign-born but came in legally.
Uh-huh.
What you had happening on the illegal side, however, was
Jeez.
a real increase in illegal immigration and very spotty enforcement. Periods where during Bush, during Clinton, even during Obama, there was an attempt, and a good faith attempt at times, to really cut down on illegal immigration, but then long periods of time when they gave up. And this whole concept of
They just gave up. Yeah, that's what happened. ICE, our Department of Homeland Security, everybody, especially after 9/11, everybody was like, fuck it. Who cares? Let them pour in. We give up. Remember that day? I don't think I'll ever forget it. When everyone who worked for the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and Border Patrol, when they went down and waved white flags through the fence. It was, yeah.
the sanctuary cities, which back in the 80s was a minor thing having to do with priority for people who were criminals.
Who were hunchbacks in bell towers?
All of a sudden, it became a big, broad thing. Cities were places you could come, and you could stay there forever, even if you were illegal. And cities started to almost advertise themselves as sanctuary cities, despite
Yeah, have you seen the brochures? They're beautiful.
the fact.
What's the hole? Oh, the hole over his shoulder? That's the glory hole. Where do you think he makes money?
That was in complete defiance of federal law.
He looks like a goblin.
That, of course, increased the amount of illegal immigration, aliens, greatly. No longer was there this fear that you were going to get caught, and the word in the illegal immigrant community, both here and on the other side, spreads pretty quickly. And then you would have another debate about the murders and the crimes that take place.
Dude,
Why don't we
what are you
take a
talking
short
about?
pause?
Jesus Christ, really? You're already selling shit? We're not even to, 95? Hey, Karen. God. All right, skipping. I don't need this. Nobody needs this, Rudy. Free silver. Thank you for coming back and letting me sell you a bunch of shit. And this is going to be
5, 3,
round 2 of this nonsense.
Thank you for returning. So the debate is,
Where do you think I went?
there's no question.